Welcome to Beyond the Title, a podcast where we interview college deans from the University of Cincinnati. My name is Hayden, and my co-host is the interim provost of UC, Dr. John Lindner.
Thanks, Hayden.
Our topics range from deans when they were college students to why they decided to become deans and much more. Today's guest is Marianne Lewis, Dean of the Lindner College of Business. Welcome, Dean Lewis.
Oh, thank you for having me, Hayden.
There are 4 rounds of questions, with the first a rapid-fire warm-up round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Coffee or tea?
Always coffee.
Morning or night?
Morning, early bird.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
What's your favorite hype song before a big event or big meeting?
You know, I'm not in CCM, and I don't really have a hype song, if I'm honest, but I take deep breaths, do a little meditation, a little power pose, and I'm ready to go.
Nice. What's your favorite spot on campus?
I love Sigma Commons. I'm really fortunate to have Lindner overlooking it because there's always something interesting going on there. From youngsters, I think the crew I just saw out there was probably K through maybe 4.
Nice.
To students playing Frisbee and in hammocks. And, you know, you just never know. I love it.
Wow.
Well, similarly, what's your favorite place to grab a bite to eat, whether on campus or around Cincinnati?
I love OTR. I mean, every time I go to OTR, I find something different. You know, once upon a time in Cincinnati, I think it was trickier. I would have said something like Skyline. But now I feel like we're a foodie place. It's great.
We're trending in the upwards
It's
direction.
amazing. It's a lot of fun.
All right, and that's it for your warm-up round.
All right.
Our next round is about the Lindner College of Business. If you could describe the College of Business's personality in 3 words, what would they be?
I mean, our mantra is that we empower business problem solvers. And when I say that as kind of a spirit or culture, you can feel it. We're super collaborative. There's a lot of high energy there, and we're a roll up your sleeves and get it done.
Great.
And I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What class or experience within your college you wish all students would have?
Actually, I would say the experience I value most, I'm grateful that all students do have, and it's our first year experience. We have a phenomenal first year. It's a collection of 3 different interwoven courses, and our students are in these teams, learning communities of about 17 with PACE leaders who are peer leaders who are always phenomenal. And in fact, this past year, we shrunk the size of each team, and so we significantly grew the numbers of teams. And when we went to recruit our peer leaders, I don't remember what the number was, but it was a record. It was something, let's say it was 160 for 20 open spots because everybody else returned. And I thought, okay, we're doing something right. That peer leaders want to be part of the first year, and we know it's mattering for engagement and belonging and retention. That's student success, and I love it.
That's
It's
awesome.
good.
Why did you want to serve as Dean of the Lindner College of Business?
Actually, I've wanted to serve as the Dean of Lindner for a long time. I came here right out of my PhD program, and I didn't know I said this, Hayden, but somebody reminded me recently that when I interviewed to be an associate dean, and I was not yet tenured, which means I had people saying, "You're crazy. This is not when you do this." I was with a big group of senior faculty, and they asked me, why do I want to be an associate dean? I don't know what I was, too much coffee, something that day. My answer was because someday I will be dean of the Lindner College of Business.
There you
so
go.
that's I don't know if that's a lot of something.
Yeah.
But
Talk
I really
rolling up
did.
your sleeve, huh?
Yeah, but even then, I mean, I did. I left for a number of years. I had my first deanship in London, thinking I wasn't coming back, but I was so grateful when I started getting the calls to apply to come back here because I really have always wanted to be dean.
Wow,
Lindner.
that's awesome.
So I know this will feel like just yesterday, but what were you like as a student? And related to the last question, did you actually imagine back then that you'd be in this role?
No, I absolutely didn't back then. For me, it's a little bit of a trick question what I was like as a student because I was 2 different people. When I started as a student, I grew up in academia. My dad was an academic. I grew up in some very nice places in Palo Alto and Boston, working for those schools, like selling coffee as a kid. And I was determined not to be an academic. And in fact, I did so poorly in my first school that they invited me to leave.
Wow.
Well, and I tell it to my students because, you know, sometimes the fire isn't on. And it really wasn't. I think I was this rebel without a clue. I didn't quite get what it was all about. I'm very grateful. I figured it out. I transferred. I ended up at a small school that was kind of more focused. And for whatever reason, the light bulb went on. And I never got below an A.
Wow.
And I don't say that as a brag because you do not want to know my GPA
Before?
freshman year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if I had one. It was so bad.
Yeah.
But I think you got to find your motivation. And we all find it at different times in different ways. I'm just glad I did, I think, at that point.
Wow. What's a common misconception that students have about deans?
Oh, I would have to ask some students, I think. I'm not sure students understandably know what we do. I mean, because really my job is about strategy. It's working with all of our partners from employers to deans and provosts to fundraising and our fabulous alumni, all for the sake of students. So, I mean, I try to get in classes as often as I can. I think it's one of the things I miss most about being dean is more interactions with students. But my job is very strategic. So it's really about how do I get us moving in a direction that benefits everyone and then empower those who are really good at what they do and love our students and university to do their best. I think that's my job.
That's awesome.
Actually, the other thing I often say to students is ultimately my job is to make your degree more valuable after you leave.
That's awesome.
So as a professor, you've taught, you instilled a lot of lessons into your students, but what about in reverse? What have you learned from your students?
Oh, truly, John, it's one of the reasons I love teaching so much is I learned so much from my students. You know, actually, I was telling the story the other day, but if you don't mind, it's a good one. One of the reasons we went to Universal Co-op at Lindner is that I've seen the power of experiential learning, especially co-ops firsthand. And I had this student years ago who came to me as a first-gen student. He was working his way through college. I mean, he worked so hard. And he said to me, at this time I was an associate, and he said, I want to go into sports. And I get people that say that still to this day. And I said, oh, his name is Bobby. I said, Bobby, the only way you go into sports, because it is so incredibly competitive, is you better be really good at what you do. And you need to decide what it is that you're contributing. And I said, you can't say I love sports, because I'm telling you a lot of people.
Everybody loves sports, yeah.
Right? And so he said, finance. I want to be in finance, which actually wasn't what I expected him to say necessarily. I'm like, okay, all right, we can figure this out.
Yeah.
And he comes back to me after he just starts plotting and planning, how am I going to do this? And he says to me, I got a co-op. I got a co-op this summer. He said, I've got good news and I've got a lot of bad news. And I said, okay, well, what's the good news? And he said, I'm going to go work for the Indiana Pacers. I'm like, well, that is
There you go.
very
That's great
good news.
yeah.
And he said, the bad news is they're not going to pay me and I'm going to commute from Cincinnati over the summer. And I went, how? Well,
Yeah.
you know, I kind of
Yeah.
was like, are you sure? And he said, absolutely, because I think I could be really good at this, but I got to prove it. And I got to prove it to myself and I got to try it out. It's one of those, the guy now is such a leader in the field of sports management. He is at every draft for both the NBA and the NFL, getting one, if not two, of the top 5 players. He is a rock star. And every time I see him, it brings tears to my eyes because I'm like, that's what grit is.
Yeah.
Right? You know, Angela Duckworth studied it, and grit means passion and perseverance. And I see that in students, and it's what gets me up in the morning fired up.
Wow. That's awesome. What advice would you have for UC students like myself and those at Lindner?
I actually was talking to parents for incoming students the other day, and basically to that question is you got to lean in. You've got to engage. We have so many opportunities on this campus and off the campus that come through the campus. So whether it is in the classroom, in student organizations, in study abroad or study away, which is domestic, in co-op, in all of these areas. But it's up to you as a student to decide and lean in and start to engage. So my point is start. And I say it to their parents too. I said to, let's all be on the same team, because it's scary sometimes to try. But you don't know what's possible until you do. And even if you fail, it's okay, because that's why we're here, and you will get better and you'll build confidence and resilience, but lean in.
That's something that I really struggled with my first year, where it was like, there's all of these opportunities and clubs, and it kind of almost feels like too much, where it's like, I feel like if I'm going to choose the wrong opportunity, if I go to the wrong activity, that I'm going to not make any friends, or I'm not going to, see the people that I'm hoping to see there. But it's like, if you're going somewhere, expecting to see someone, then you're going to zero in on it, and you're not going to
but can
open
I
yourself
say,
up.
because I think that's so important what you just said, Hayden. We talk a lot about help. We don't want students to drink from the fire hose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it can feel from orientation through when they first get here. You got a lot of time, and every decision isn't like etched in stone.
Mm-hmm.
So you just start
Just try.
experimenting,
Yeah.
explore, go see what works.
Yeah, and I think sometimes students are reluctant saying, I know, classes are so important, and they are, that I'm just going to study and go to bed and go home, and these other distractions, I just can't afford to do it.
Yeah.
The opposite, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You get involved.
Sometimes the distractions are actually more beneficial than classes, and you're going to get so much education from your classes, but beyond the distractions, quote unquote, are going to actually be what carry you and bring you, more value post-graduation, post-degree. Starts
Well,
off.
this is personal/professional, but you've had
Professional,
some
yeah.
wonderful experiences, including, is it the Bayes School of Business? Am I saying that right?
It is.
In the UK.
Yeah.
So what did you learn from that? How did you, going back and
learned
forth
so
between
much.
UC, what was the challenge, the excitement, the opportunity?
I mean, it fits with Hayden's other question too about advice. Another piece of advice is, man, go big or go home, because when I had the opportunity to leave and go to London, man, it was terrifying. I had been at UC for 18 years. I loved it. I knew I was starting to kind of lose my energy and I needed a new challenge. But I had some really interesting opportunities, and this one was scary because it was new culture, new institution, new role. I got there, and 6 months later, Brexit happens. If you aren't familiar with what was going on in London and the EU, it was huge. I mean, it changed. My college was among the top 40 in the world of global business schools, and I had students from 100 and I can't remember what it was, 60 countries. I mean, it was so international. It was actually mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, everybody was in this panic of, how are we going to do this? Are we not going to be able to stay in London? And I'm not British. I'm not, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? But I've just learned what Warren Bennis, a former president of UC, always said, which is leadership is forged in the crucible, which means in your toughest times, you will always learn the most. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful every day that I took that experience, but I'm telling you, John, it was brutal. I didn't know I could work that hard, but I learned so much through it.
Yeah, and there's a saying that I try and live by as much as I can, where it's, if it doesn't scare you, then you're not working hard enough.
That's exactly.
And it's like, I try and do things that are scary and that I think are out of my comfort zone, because that's what I'm going to learn the most from.
So like hosting a podcast.
Like hosting a podcast for the first time, of course, because that way I'm learning. And if I'm not scared, then I'm not going to learn anything from it. So I think that's really awesome. Speaking of something that's new, in 2022, you published your first book, Both/and Thinking, Embracing Creative Tensions to Solve Your Toughest Problems, with Wendy K. Smith. Looking back on it, what was the most challenging part when writing and getting that book published?
I've studied tensions for 25 years, and it had become a dream for me and Wendy, my primary co-author here, to put it into a single book. And I know we have plenty of faculty who do books more regularly. It's not something you always do in a business school, but pulling it together was just a dream. And it was really hard. And what I mean by that is, like, it's a slog to write. I don't even know how many words are in the book, but I mean, it's a good chunky sized book.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't just the length. I actually wrote 2/3 of the book in my sabbatical when I was at Fulbright in London, which is how I ended up becoming a dean in London. Mm-hmm. I got a little sidetracked. But when we came back to the book I had written during the sabbatical, neither of us wanted to publish it. It was super academic. And I had lived through Brexit. I had started to work so much with executives. I just thought, I love academics. I don't need to talk to academics. I've been publishing my whole life. I need to write something for business people. Mm-hmm. But finding that voice was really hard. I was grateful we published it through Harvard Business School Press, and they kind of challenged us, but it was that combination of length and a different voice. It was hard. And I'm so glad I did it, because it's changed the kind of interactions I get to have on an ongoing basis, mm-hmm. and made so much of what I've studied and taught much more meaningful, because now I talk to executives. I mean, all the time,
That's
literally
awesome.
all the time
Yeah.
about this and the tensions, competing demands they're dealing with. And it makes me feel like, all right.
Oh, it's a wonderful book. Congratulations. And it really has had an impact on UC. You hear that language, these tensions, the both and leaning into those tensions and not
Okay,
trying
well,
to
that
say
means a lot to
which
me.
one it is. Oh no,
I
it's
appreciate it.
wonderful. Yep. Yeah. So even before you became a professor, you had multiple experiences at universities at Indiana, Kentucky, and so on. What did you draw from each of those? How do you compare and contrast? Are there a lot of differences between schools, business schools across the country, or is it?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think something I've really enjoyed just personally, but when I was in London, because I was, I think at the time, 8 of the top 100 business school deans were women. I ended up being put on all the boards. I really did. And you say yes, right?
Yeah.
Because then I come in. So here I am. I was visiting schools all around the world,
Wow.
as well as I continue to do it in the United States. And on the one hand, we're all dealing with the same things. And I don't think, by the way, some of them aren't just business schools, right? They're enrollment and retention and impact and, I mean, all these kind of big topics. But truly, John, one of the reasons, if not the reason I came back to UC is I realized we had something special. Because I had seen enough schools that co-op isn't just an internship or a thing you do outside. It's this whole mentality that is gritty, right? It's like putting all these pieces together. And I thought, if we can put together our experiential learning, put it on steroids, we have one of the most interdisciplinary campuses in the world because we have a DAP, a CCM, a law, a medicine. Most of them have businesses, schools, so I don't, right? And a research one. Oh my gosh, the things that we can do in a backyard like Cincinnati are really beautiful. And so I think what makes us special is that combination. Any one of those things alone, maybe no, but that combination really is special. And I've now been in enough schools, I drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak.
Yeah. You've received 14 different awards and accolades throughout your career, with your most recent being the Breakthrough Idea Award at Thinkers 50 for your book, Both and Thinking, and one of the earliest ones being the Journal of Management Education Paper of the Year runner-up. If you could think back on all of your accomplishments and accolades that you have garnered, which one would you say you are most proud of receiving?
Okay, well, thank you for counting them. Hey, I've never done that. That's, I actually am probably proudest of my first teaching award because I got it the same year as this big paper award I won from our top journal. And everybody was kind of going, oh my gosh, that's so great about the paper award. But I won our undergraduate Excel award that year. And I'm telling you, it made much, much bigger difference to me that the students thought it mattered what I was doing. I mean, I'm proud of the other stuff, but when push comes to shove, education is about students and it's about changing lives through learning. And I love research, but it happens ideally in the classroom and through relationships that we have.
Yeah, excellent.
Wow. Well, thank you to the Dean of the Lindner College of Business, Marianne Lewis, for coming and chat with us today. We hope you had a good time, and we look forward to seeing you around campus. We would also like to thank Drew as well as Bearcast Media for their support. Talk soon.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed it.